Hi, I'm Peter McCracken at ShipIndex.org. I'm trying to answer some questions that some of our readers have sent in and see if we can help them learn a little bit more about the vessels that are of interest to them. If you've got a vessel that is or a question that you'd like to ask, feel free to send it to comments at ShipIndex.org and we'll see what we can do. In this case, Gerald said that he can't find much information about the former Hudson River Reserve Fleet, except for bits and pieces. He's trying to find a ship listing or even an arrangement of the maps, how the vessels were held in the Hudson River Reserve Fleet after World War II. So there's a couple of different things that we're going to do to start this research. And I'll tell you what, I'm not actually going to start Ship Index right now because he's asking about this reserve fleet and we don't have any information at all about who's in that reserve fleet yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to go into Wikipedia. I find Wikipedia to be a great resource pretty often. See what happens with Hudson River Reserve Fleet. So there's an entry about the Hudson River Reserve Fleet, but there's not a lot of information here, and not a lot of information about the different vessels or how they were. Here's a nice picture from above, though. That's pretty neat. So let's see what else we can learn about this. What I did find was this link down here to an entry in the Naval Marine Archive. And when I go here, they bring up this image. So they're talking about the Wakefield and the Washington, 1930 ocean liners used as troop ships in World War II. So now that we know a particular vessel, maybe there's something that we can learn about this one. So I'm going to come back to shipindex.org and I'm going to do a search for Wakefield and see what we can find here. Now we have a funny little thing in this case. We have two different ships. Obviously, it's the same hull. It's the same vessel. So it was originally the SS Manhattan, and then it changed its name to the USS Wakefield when it joined the Navy at the start of World War II. And we do have separate links here because that's how this particular vessel is represented. If we click on this one, we'll go to a bunch of entries specifically for Manhattan. Manhattan was launched in 1932, and there's some information in here about Manhattan as a passenger ship. And if we go back here, we find Wakefield and we find entries that refer to Wakefield. A couple of other things I want to point out here. We can look through this. Here's a history of the United States naval operations in World War II by Samuel Eliot Morrison, and a variety of other resources. Here's Jaffe's troop ships and passenger liners from A to Z. But the real question is about the collection of the Hudson River Reserve Fleet, not about specifically the Wakefield. So we may find some information in here, we might not. And I want to point out, of course, that we have these other entries about Manhattan, which is the same ship. I mean, it could be covering different time periods, or it could be talking about the experience of the Wakefield as well. And then we have these others. These are entries for ships that are named Wakefield. They might be the same vessel that we're interested in, but we don't know that for sure. This entry from this issue of the Log of Mystic Seaport, we just know it's about Wakefield. So this may be interesting, but we're not really sure. So I'm going to try switching back to that other screen we were looking at and see what we can find there. So going back to this page and looking a little bit more, we can find some other vessels that are mentioned in here, I think. So there's the Edwin M. Stanton and the Earl A. Bloomquist. So maybe they would tell us something. I'm going to go back up and then I'm going to do Edwin M. Stanton. I always put a period after the middle initial. That generally makes things work a little bit better. We find 5 citations in 5 different resources. And here's Jaffe's book again, Liberty Ships from A to Z. Here's some other pages. Some of these are interesting, and I will point out here, if you click on about this resource, it will tell you something, and often it will tell you something about the particular page that this would take you to. So you'll notice that this is a set of Microsoft Word pages, and if you click on the link, you'll download the document for that page. We also saw Earl A. Bloomquist. Maybe that's something. I'll point out another way that we can do this. We can do ship name Bloomquist. This is the only Bloomquist we found. We do find the Jaffe book again. I think really we're not finding an answer for this particular researcher about the collection as a whole or the layout of the collection. I think that there may be some real great resources in government documents collections to find that. So that would be an idea that I might pursue. But for now, we found links to a couple of different resources, and those Jaffe books may be a good place to learn a bit more, though they're not going to focus specifically on the collection as a whole. Not sure we found a lot of great stuff there, but maybe a couple of other paths to follow.